So, this is the day 11 vlog. As you can imagine, after 11 days in North Carolina for the clinical trial, we were very ready to get home. So, this is the story of how that happened, or what is affectionately now known in our family as how to get frostbite and arrested at the Nashville airport. So, we woke up Thursday morning to a very ringing telephone out of a deep sleep, and it happened to be another family who was down there with us, and they were stuck at the Raleigh airport because their flight had been canceled for about 6 hours with a special needs child. And they were hoping maybe we could come get them and spend some time before their next flight. However, we hadn't packed it all, and Case had a set routine for how that day was going to happen. So we couldn't make that happen, but luckily they were able to get another car to get them back to the hotel for some time. So we got up and did the pattern Case expected, which was go to breakfast, pack our stuff, and head to the mall play area, which is what he was looking forward to, but I was going to work on fixing my phone again. So we were hoping that would happen, and it did, but we kept watching the weather all day because we knew that an ice and snowstorm had come through Nashville and was on its way to Raleigh. So we were hoping we could get out of Raleigh before it hit and into Nashville after they had already started to clean up from the storm. So as luck would have it, we were at the airport and our flight was a little bit delayed but was set to take off. We got on the plane. It was fabulous, and we were hoping to land and everything would be good. We did land, and it was good, but the runway was very icy. So when you're looking out of the plane and the whole runway is slick, but you're on the ground, that's great, but it's a little scary. So we got into the Nashville airport. We did what we normally do, which is get a cart and pack up all our bags. And normally I go get the car myself and come back around for whoever is with me and for Case and all the bags so they don't have to ride the shuttle. Well, Case was begging to ride the shuttle because he loves the shuttle. And I thought, oh, well, we'll just bring our backpacks and we'll go get the car and we'll come back around and get his Nana in the bags and that'll all work out fine. So Case got on the shuttle with me and we were all excited, and they kept talking on the shuttle that, if you're trying to get your car started and it was really cold and you needed to get back on the shuttle to warm up till you got back to your car, then you could do that. And, it started to sound a little nerve-wracking. But I thought, I know they've had a storm here, but, we had an ice storm the week before we went to North Carolina, and I survived that. I'm from the north. And so I thought, okay. So we get off the shuttle. Case and I start to walk toward the car and realize that the entire parking lot of the Nashville airport is a clean sheet of ice, skate-worthy ice. So we are shuffling along, almost falling on our backsides over and over, trying to hold on to cars to get to the van, which is about 8 spaces from the shuttle drop-off. So we're trying to walk on the snow-covered ice because that gives you a little traction. And we finally make it to the van. Hallelujah. Of course, there's snow on the top and there's snow on the front of the van, but it's not that bad. So I try unlocking the van. It's unlocked. Cannot get the door open. Cannot get the first door open. Can't get the side door open, the passenger side. I can't get the trunk open. I am leveraging my entire body to try to get this van open, and it is not budging. So I see a truck from the airport with flashing lights going somewhere nearby. So I start hitting the alarm button on the van so they will hear me and maybe come help us de-ice the van. So I keep turning the alarm on and off in the van, which is scaring Case a little bit, but I'm trying to keep him in one spot so he doesn't slip and totally fall and hurt himself. So finally the truck comes over, and it's a lady, and I say, my van is iced over. They told us to call one of the trucks if we had a problem. And she goes, yeah, that's us, but we don't have any de-icer. I'm like, well, does anyone else have any de-icer? No, every truck in the Nashville airport is out of de-icer because there's that much ice. And I said, well, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do because they told us to call one of these trucks. And I've been out of town for 11 days in and out of a hospital with this child right here, and I'm just trying to get home. So the lady first did not have much sympathy for me, but I think I worked on her a little bit. She got out. She tried the last can she had, didn't have any left in it. She tried to use this piece, and we tried to wedge it under the door to pry it open. We tried to use the strength of two people to get a door open. It was not budging. There was ice, and there must have been ice inside the doors, and it was not moving. So we were faced with, what do we do now? And she said, well, I can drive you back to the terminal. And I decided that there was no way I could do anything else with Case right there, and it was a total sheet of ice everywhere. So we loaded Case and myself, our two backpacks, and my purse into one seat in the front of her pickup truck with a bunch of equipment in the middle. So I was practically sitting on top of him because he would not move and wanted to be in first. So we rode in our truck back to the terminal and found his Nana and tried to figure out what to do. So we said, our options are to try to get the van open, or to rent a car and go home, or to go to a hotel and wait till tomorrow. So I said, I'm going to try one more thing. I'm going to try to get some hot water and, melt the ice around the door enough to pull one of the doors open, because we only need to get in one door, and then we could, turn the van on. So I went to the counter of the coffee shop and asked for 3 very large cups of hot water. The girl did not seem surprised, and I said, my van is frozen shut, and I'm trying to get inside. I said, you don't seem surprised. Has anyone else done this? And she said, oh yeah, lots of people have done it. I said, have they come back and say it worked? She goes, no one's come back. So I don't know if that meant it worked or it didn't work. But I took my 3 steaming cups of hot water, and I said, I don't need to take anything else with me. I just have to hold these 3 cups in a cup holder thing and make it out to the van, and then I'll just pull back around and pick them up. So I take my hot water and go wait for the shuttle again, hoping they don't cool off too much. Get on the shuttle and make it back out to the parking lot. And you remember, it's a solid sheet of ice. So now I don't have my arms out to level myself or balance. I'm holding this cup holder with 3 cups of hot water. So I have to very slowly make it out to the van. I make it. I don't kill myself. Get out there, and I take the first cup and I pour it around the door, and I'm pulling on the door and trying to keep it from freezing back. But literally within about 10 to 15 seconds, the water I just poured then froze. So I said, I'm going to take this second cup, and I've got to I had tried my keys between the door, and it only succeeded in bending keys. And so I'm going to take this second cup, and I'm just going to give it all I have. So I took this second cup, poured it around the door, and I don't know what I wedged in there, but I eventually got the driver's side door open, and still 1 cup left. So I did that. I turned on the van, and the entire windshield was covered in ice. So by this time, my feet were very cold because I had no socks on. I was just wearing loafers because I thought, we're just going to get on a plane, get off a plane, and get in the car. So my feet were frozen. My hands were only wearing cloth gloves. So after pouring the water, which got on my hands, and then, feeling all this ice, my hands were literally frozen down to the bone. And so eventually got the car going, and the heat on our van doesn't work that great. And so it's very slow to heat up. And so I was looking at my phone and realized that I needed to call eventually my mother-in-law to tell her I was coming. Well, then my phone died. So then I had to plug the phone up in the van to try to get it to charge enough to call them to tell them to come out to the van when I made it up there. So I had to let the ice melt. I let the ice melt on the van and started, luckily I had a scraper. So I started scraping the ice off the windshield of the van. And, thought I scraped enough to kind of get things going. And I opened, most of the other doors eventually of the van to make sure that they were unfrozen. So I'm going to go and pick them up, and I pull out enough in the parking lot to get to the end. Well, then more snow and ice starts falling around the windshield. So then I have to stop again, scrape off the rest of the windshield and in the middle of the parking lot. So I'm going to go get them, and I drive up toward the exit to the parking lot, and all of a sudden it hits me. I did not bring my wallet. So you have to go out of the parking to go pick people up at the terminal, and I didn't have my wallet or any money to pay. Now, after 11 days, even in economy parking, that's almost $100. So I had no way to pay for it. So I had 3 cars ahead of me in the line to pay. And I thought, well, this is a problem. I'm like, let me grab my ticket and see how much, I think it's going to be. Well, I've been to this airport 60 times in the last 4 to 5 years, and I have never, ever lost a parking ticket because I put it in my cup holder right there by the driver's seat. My ticket was not in the cup holder by the driver's seat. It was not on the floor or between the seats. I could not find my ticket. So now, not only did I not have money, I didn't have a ticket either. So I finally make it up to the window and look in, and who leans out the window but the nice lady who drove me to the terminal after I couldn't get in the van. And I said, it's very nice to see you again, but I have 2 problems. 1, I have no money, and 2, I have no ticket. So what do I do? So as luck would have it, she said, can you call somebody? So I said, yes, I can call my mother-in-law. She has my wallet back at the terminal, and I can tell you exactly when we got here, which was February 23rd at 6:30 in the morning. And I seriously doubt anyone's going to lie by saying they've been there 11 days and want to pay for it. So my mother-in-law read off my numbers of my card, and they had to fill out all the paperwork. Well, meanwhile, there were 2 cars behind me, and one gentleman was quite impatient and starts yelling, hurry up, and then he starts revving his engine over and over, and then starts screaming, come on, come on. I about lost it. And this is where I about got arrested. Because if that man had said something one more time, I don't know if I could have stayed in my car. I literally wanted to get out and say, gentlemen, do you have any idea that I have been in and out of a hospital for 11 days with my child? I brought him out to an iced up van, had to go back to the terminal, came back out. My feet are now blocks of ice. My hands are blocks of ice. And I am just trying to get home. Luckily, he didn't say anything else. I signed my slip. The nice lady, her name was Demi, let me out. I pulled around to the terminal. I pulled there and realized, man, we had so many bags, we could not load up in the lane right there. But there were no spots to pull over in. So I had to go around all the other cars and finally find a little spot over by the front where my poor mother-in-law could push the cart of bags and we could start to load up. Well, as luck would have it, the only door that I had not tried to get open was the passenger sliding door through which we needed to load the luggage into the van. It was still frozen shut. So we tried. We tried to open it. We sat there blocking up traffic at the Nashville airport for at least about 10 minutes trying to open this door because by that time we had thrown out the 3rd hot cup of water. So that was no use. Eventually I got inside that part of the van and am pounding on the door while she's pulling it from the outside. And eventually we got that door open, got our bags loaded, and eventually pulled out of the Nashville airport. Well, now, if you know Nashville, if it's rained or iced, the roads are not good. So we were then driving about 25 miles an hour because there was still ice and snow on all the roads on the highway to try to get home. So we were driving and we're going down 65 south and lost control of the van a little bit a couple times, brought it back, kept driving south. Slow going, very slow going. And at some point, Case starts saying, I'm hungry. I'm hungry, Mommy. I want to eat. I'm hungry. Now, by this time, it was about 10:30 at night. So, of course, he's hungry. We hadn't had dinner. So I thought, if we can just make it to Spring Hill, where we live, I will give in and go through a drive-through of one of those nasty fast food restaurants that I never like to go to that are not too far from our house. There's a McDonald's and a Taco Bell, and you know what? I will give in and I will go through one of those places and get him something hot to eat and me maybe something hot to eat because I'm just tired by this time. So we get off the highway, go through more ice. It took us a little over an hour to get to that point. We get off the highway. I see the McDonald's. I'm like, oh, he's really been talking about being hungry. And wouldn't you know it? Because of this ice and snowstorm, McDonald's was closed. And Taco Bell was closed. And that poor boy was hungry. So I knew there wasn't going to be a lot of food in my house because nobody had been there for 9 days. So we pulled into Kroger into a totally icy parking lot. And I went into Kroger and got the things he loved, which is bananas and yogurt and milk. And made it back out to the van, got in, drove back. We got home and started loading everything up the steps. So by this time it was 11:30, and we'd made it back. But that was our story for trying to get back. And so that's the day 11 vlog. And it's long, but we're home and life is good.